evening, welcome. It's Monday. It's not Monday, it's Tuesday night. Yeah, sorry about last night. I couldn't make last night's show for a number of reasons. Probably because I was still recovering from the fact we'd actually scored a flipping goal. But yeah, it's Tuesday night, 7:30. We're here for the next 30 minutes. As ever, we want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's your show. This is how we always do it. There's literally no script. It's just, what do you want to talk about? We want as much of your views on Leicester City. So comment your views live in the next 30 minutes. We'll talk about it. Do you want to talk about finally there was a goal? I can't believe some of the comments, some of the chat, even myself. It's like, God, it's like we've won a cup or we've won a league. We just scored a goal. We actually scored two. But hey, we got a goal, and even better than that, we got a point. When did we get to the point where just celebrating a goal and a point was the good thing? Again, we probably want to talk about, do you want to stick with RUUD or not? There's been all sorts of things coming out of the club. Last week, it sounded like RUUD had given up and wanted to walk away, or the club wanted to sack him. Now there's talk about, well, maybe we'll stick with RUUD. We'll see. Let's see on the results. I mean, I'll give you the results out of the last 16, 18 games. So what do you want to talk about, RUUD van Nistelrooy and the players? And again, renewal's over now. I actually know quite a few people who've just said, I've had enough. I've had enough of how it's all gone. The club, the owner, the board level, the biggest perhaps is RUUD, but the biggest is the state of players on the pitch. So whatever you want to talk about tonight, in the next 30 minutes, it's your show. Get your views in, get your comments in, and let us know what you want to talk about.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, RUUD, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, indeed. Anything you guys want to talk about, it's your show. We want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I'm going to start with something that is Leicester City. This is probably the best bit of news. Welcome back, Richie Collins. I can see you watching, and I'm sure many of you know, because we've talked about Richie while he's been incredibly poorly in hospital. But Richie has been in a really tough place at the hospital. So, Richie, welcome back to Leicester. They've got you a draw. They've got you goals. And it's been brilliant. We've missed you. We've missed your comments, and we know you've been really poorly. So I'm going to start with Richie. It says, good evening, Phil. Good evening to you, Richie. A very good point for Leicester. He's not even saying he's been poorly. He's just straight back in, and he's saying a good point for Leicester at Brighton on Saturday. I came back home last week. Thanks for all the messages. Richie, I know many Leicester fans. I'm sure many will put in the comments below. Glad to see you back. Glad to see you back at the football. So welcome back, Richie. That's the best bit of news. So I want to get that well and truly said. So great to get your comments in. We'll crack back to the football, Richie, because that's what I know you'll want to do. And he says, at least we can finally vote for a goal of the month. I know. Well, the goals came obviously in April. April, there is a goal of the month. What happened in March, Andy? I don't remember seeing anything on socials about the March goal of the month, but we've now got two to consider, haven't we? Let me know in there. Mary says, listen, it's good we can all have a laugh about it. Mary says, I can't believe we got a goal. I know it was pretty amazing. Good evenings to lots of people. Clibo, don't forget, if you want to come on, give us your views. I'm going to share it again. I'll put it in the comments. If anybody wants to click on it, come and give me your views live on camera, or just, if some people don't like to come on camera, a lot don't, just type away and we'll get as many in there. Good evening, Andy. Good evening, Aidan. Hope you're all well. Bonjour, says Baz. Baz, you can put your foreign, your Spanish stuff, your Italian away, your French away. It's going to be a long time before we go on a dilly dong European tour again, but bonjour to you as well. Anne says, took RUUD a while to change things. Still helping goes. I'm with you, Anne. I genuinely am. I mean, crikey, we seem to play 10 games with 4 at the back where it didn't work. Then at Chelsea, he changes it to 5 and says, right, I've got a new way of playing, and it's 5 at the back. I'm going to stick with that week on week. And it was just like, just to change bits a little bit. It was nice to see Mavididi have a good game. Mavididi is one of those where you think at this, I think very much at Premier League level, you'll have to go, the jury's out. We don't know if he's Premier League quality. Talking about next season, though, in the Championship, Mavididi's going to be decent again, isn't he? Clivo says it's almost more annoying we start playing now. I'll be more irritated playing well and getting relegated. I hear you, because imagine if we were to go and win 5 games out of the last few games and you suddenly go, oh, we were actually only 2 wins off staying up. But again, I'd rather see us, Clivo, go end the season playing some of the youngsters, some of the players who are going to be, they must know. Listen, for me, this is about, let's work out which players, you and me, let's work it out now. Let's do that. Which players are definitely going to be, let's get rid of them. Some of them won't want to go, but some of them we've got to get rid of. Stephen says, stick with RUUD and get rid of Rudkin and head of recruitment. I think that's the same job, head of recruitment and Rudkin. They seem to be there to there. Larry says, one swallow doesn't make a summer. No way. Well, yeah, I know, but the club have come out and said, well, we'll see how the end of the season goes. Just make a decision. I'm like you, Larry. I've seen more than enough from RUUD to go, no, thank you. But listen, Larry, I do get, actually, if we keep most of the players that probably too good for the Championship, probably not good enough for the Premier League, you're looking at, like, a lot of managers could probably do quite well with us next year, RUUD himself included in there. Here's something for you as well. Let's just get Dean says, I still don't understand how RUUD is in a job. Me neither. Dean, I'm absolutely with you. Surely leaving it to the summer is irrelevant. Has RUUD and Leicester City got a clause in their agreement where if we get relegated, there's a far smaller severance pay and maybe RUUD can walk and Leicester can walk, and it's all just like that, nice and easy. Richie says Leicester City women are playing at Arsenal women tonight. Keep us updated with the scores there, Richie. Thank you. Fies, Decker, Vestergaard, Ward, get rid of, says Sadar. Do you agree with Sadar there? Faze, yes, you can go, mate. Seen enough of Faze. I actually think he's probably listen, he plays for Belgium. He still plays, and you probably think somebody will come in and pay 15 or 20 million for Faze, because on paper they'll look at him and go, well, he's a Belgium international. He should do all right. Daka, can we all chip in to pay for a taxi for Daka? I just don't know. I'm just beyond gone there. Zane says, hiya, as a Liverpool fan, I'll got you on Sunday. Ooh, looking forward to that. I watched the Brighton game, and I think Leicester were quite resilient to get the point. We were. I mean, being honest, could we have been 6 goals behind at half time? I think we could have done in there. Let me know if you think I'm being a bit negative there. Tom says, RUUD needs to go. Patrick, good evening, says Brighton fans were raving about Mavididi on the train back to Brighton after the game. He had a really good game. This is the Mavididi. If Mavididi could have been at that level all season, that would have been a big part of it. Ricardo Pereira, again, this is what I don't get with Rue van Nistelrooy. I think we look better with Ricardo Pereira back on the pitch, but he didn't start. Why didn't he start, Ricardo? McAteer, again, we could have sold McAteer in January for £10 million, but they turned the offer down. I think it was Sunderland, 10 million quid. We went, no, we want Jason McAteer. And then we haven't seen him since. Again, I thought he played against Brighton and he put in quite a shift. I thought he looked bothered. There's a few players in there where you go, Luke Thomas looks bothered. Mavididi actually looked bothered. Victor Christensen looks bothered. You know, there's a few in there look bothered, but there's a few who don't, and that's what I think we've got to get rid of in it. Nathan says players will be on Premier League wages and may not want to. There's no way. That's what I say. Daka will be here next season. There's nobody is going to offer you 50p for Daka, and he's on, I believe, 75 grand a week. Nobody's going to take him off us. If RUUD's still around, what are we going to do with Harry Winks? Because if they fell out, what's going on? Again, I love the fact the club just don't. Nobody tells anything. And you know, much as I love listening to people like Radio Leicester and Owen and some of that, sometimes you just go, just ask until they answer. Where is Harry Winks? Where is Edouard? What are these players on 90 grand a week? Where are they? If they're not in the squad, I think fans have a right to know. That's just my view on it. Clivo says he would. I think, is this who you'd get rid of? I'm guessing by looking at the players, Clivo, that's who you get rid of. Vestergaard, no way. He just signed a 3-year contract for 75 grand a week. He's going nowhere because nobody wants him at that money. Clivo, Mads. I'm just wondering that, yeah, you're saying they can all leave. Mads, what would we get for Hermansen now? If you're honest, 20 million. If Enzo's still in his job at Chelsea, which is an if, please sack him, please sack him. I'd love him to be sacked. Then he might come and buy Hermansen. Faze, yeah, he can go. Victor Christensen, I'm all right with him. Sumari, yeah, he can go. Ndidi, I think Ndidi will go. And again, he should be too good for the Championship, but I think he'll go. Vardy's a big shout. We have to talk about Vardy. To give him 1 more year in the Championship if the money was right. Daka, yeah, no, he's not going. And Bobby, yeah, he's not going to go either. I know you're keeping Ayew there. Stephen says nothing's easy at Leicester. It never is. It's always Reedy's house for Daka. Oh, dear. Daka just has to do one little thing that isn't woeful, and Reedy's right back on the Daka is the GOAT. Honestly, Keith, you know it. You see it. He'll do. God help us if Daka actually scored a goal. Reedy would just be like, this Daka is God. That's what it is. Faze is mid-table La Liga player. Daka, Scottish non-league. Daka, one of those players. Did we buy the wrong player? Was there somebody else called Daka? Instead of Patson Daka, is there a Pierre Daka or something out there? And somebody's gone and signed. Yeah, this guy. Pierre or Patson, I don't know. Let's have Patson. I just don't know. Did we sign the right player there? Dean says here, Ben Nelson, yes, getting back. I noticed that lots of the fans where Ben Nelson is were saying, no, he's played rubbish. Just let him go. Let him go. We'll have him on a free. But they all love him down there. Will Alves, yes, again. He's done okay at Cardiff from what we're seeing. And I see Hamza's been playing most of the games for Sheffield United, although they had a stinker away at Plymouth the other day, didn't they? If any of you saw that. Zayn, El Khanous did have a decent game. I think El Khanous should rip up the Championship. You agree with me on that? El Khanous in a Championship side should do really well because he actually looks like he probably is Premier League level. I don't think he's done enough this season to really prove it. And note, by the way, in the Premier League, gives the ball away far too many times. I'm not the only one who notices it. Against Newcastle United in the first half, I was counting them and I got to 12 in the first half that El Khanous lost the ball. Now, a lot of that is because he's trying stuff and it's not coming off. But you can't give the ball away 12 times in his role in a half and just carry on with it. I think in the Championship, he's going to be bloody good. And then I hope we get promoted next year. And I hope then he gives us another year and then maybe we sell him for 50 million. But he ain't there yet, if you ask me. Harry says, RUUD, I think he means RUUD, will be gone at the weekend once relegation is confirmed. There is permutations, isn't there, that will be relegated before we play Leeds. Can somebody put in the comments, what is that permutation? I know Wolves they're playing at Old Trafford, aren't they? I think away at Man United. I think if they pick up a point, it's done. Certainly if they win, it's done. So by the time we all get down to the King Power Stadium and play Liverpool, we could be going down there relegated. And I think there is also a chance that the same game, if Arsenal mess up their match, can't remember who they're playing, but if Arsenal mess up, Liverpool could be champions. So you could be there at the King Power Stadium watching Leicester just be relegated or have been relegated and Liverpool become champions of the Premier League. Yeah, just 9 years ago, we were down there on May the 7th watching us beat Everton as champions of the Premier League. 9 years, that's all it was. Dean says Vardy is done, unfortunately. It's a massive debate. Dean, I don't know what you think. I don't know what other people think. Perhaps we should just have a show, maybe in the next week or two, about Jamie Vardy. Is he done? Is he not? I think if you could pay him 20 grand a week or something like that, I'd probably have him in the Championship for 1 year. I really would. But does having Jamie Vardy in there mean you just can't sign any other striker because it just doesn't work for them there? Would you have Mark Robins coming in? Players at Leicester going to be better set up than Stoke? It's a tough question, Scooby. Mark Robins. Again, he's done a lot at League One level, obviously with Coventry. Got Coventry to the playoffs. They failed in the playoffs, and then they didn't start well enough this season, and Coventry got rid of him. Frank Lampard's nearly got them. Maybe they will do the playoffs. It is possible, by the way, Scooby. I don't want to change the topic, but Coventry could get promoted to the Premier League and be higher than Leicester. When was the last time that was? When was the last time Coventry were in a higher division than Leicester? Come on. I know somebody out there will know the answer to that. So let us know in there. Richie says, I agree with you. El Canoes, good for the Championship. He should be. Yes, Stephen says, Harry Souttar. Shotter, be good. I mean, we could have done with a Shotter this year. You mean Harry Souttar? Be back at the club next season. Yeah, he's been on loan. Yeah, he probably would be there. Souttar to stay, says Hassan in there. Didn't Bournemouth try and buy Daka last summer? I think they actually might have. They wouldn't have offered the wages, Nathan. That's the trouble. He's on massive. From what things you read online, take it with a massive pinch of salt. Apparently, Patson Daka at Salzburg, wherever he was, Red Bull. I always forget Salzburg, Sixburg. I don't know where we got Daka from. Was it like Colville Town? I don't want to even say Colville Town because I think they probably got a better striker. But where did we get Patson Daka from? Anyway, apparently he was on $7.5 grand a week wherever he was, and we've offered him 75 grand. No wonder we got him. Absolutely. Kotha says sell Vestergaard, play Nelson. We won't sell Vestergaard because nobody will pay his wages. Vestergaard is here, and again, he'll probably. I've said these things before. We've got a good Championship side. Vestergaard is a good Championship defender. We saw it last season, so I think he'll be there. Nathan says, these are the permutations. So Wolves play first. So if Wolves and West Ham win, then that's that. I think they only need a point because I think of our goal difference, Nathan. But Nathan says if we lose or Wolves and West Ham win, then that's that. Interesting in there. Craig says Vardy needs to go. Clibbo says Vardy is holding back other strikers in there. Here's an interesting one for you. Stephen says, I think we need 2 seasons in the Championship. Stephen, put in the comments why you think 2 seasons. Let us know what it was. Another Stephen Moore says, this time 3 years ago, we were playing PSV. It's gone quickly. It's changed quickly, hasn't it? I know when we got relegated, obviously to the Championship, I think we all kind of thought, well, we shouldn't have got relegated. We're too good, so maybe it won't last long. And it didn't last long. We came straight back up. But this season has been. I don't want to even start the debate with you guys. Which was the worst relegation and why? I don't want to have that debate. But if you want to put in there which one it was, let us know. Nathan said, "Get best." I'm with you. Somebody will buy FaZe and nobody will buy Vestergaard. That'll be my. I can't think anybody will come. Vestergaard's too old and on too much money. FaZe, I think somebody might come and get him. He's not on as much money. Arsenal 2, Leicester 0 after 16 minutes. That's in the women's football. Paul says, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Give him one more. It feels such a sad note to end the Jamie Vardy experience on a relegation. Maybe it should have ended last year on a promotion. I don't know in there. I think Vardy will move on maybe to Wrexham. Nathan, if that happens, we every chance, and again, you hear it right, we'll be playing Wrexham next year. Non-league Wrexham Welcome to Wrexham is 4 seasons old and they were in the non-league. And we'll be playing them. The champions of England in 2016 will be playing the non-league side. It's going to happen next year. I fancy Souttar will bounce back from injury and be a rock at the back next season, Dave. We've not really seen anything much out of Souttar, so maybe he would do. I'm going to put the link in there again. No, nobody's fancied clicking on and coming on, which is fine. We can do it this way. We always like chatting with you. Lewis says, with the young players and experience, we'll have the key to everything that is getting the correct manager. Go on then, Lewis. I'll push you. Who is that right manager? Let's do this. Is anybody watching still thinking RUUD in? I think if you are, just put in the comments RUUD in. Let's see if we get any. I think there'll be a few, and I understand why, but it'd be interesting to see if we will get one. Lee says we'll need Vardy if we have a transfer ban. I've heard a few whiffs and rumours around the club, and I can't guarantee any of this for you, I'm afraid, but I am hearing that they believe we're going to be all right. We're not going to get a transfer embargo. We're not going to get points deduction. That is what I believe I'm hearing from people. But Kotha says 140k in wages. No way, man. Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I am definitely hearing that they think we're not going to get a transfer embargo and we're not going to get any point deduction. Keith says Vardy's way too disruptive with our managers now. You do wonder if it's been Vardy all along. He's been there with it all. Paul says, how about Lampard? Troy says Big Sam. I mean, Lampard's done well at Coventry, Paul, but he's, yeah, we're going to be in the same division. Let's have a few before Clibo's clicked on. So I'm going to get Clibo into chat with me. Richie says RUUD in. There's one for you. Mark says out, out, out. Paul says RUUD out. It's like do the okie dokie. Russell in. Russell Martin. I don't know. He did well at Southampton-ish. Again, Southampton had a good side and he got them promoted. Richard says no. Sador Singh says RUUD out. Anne says it would be very sad to lose Vardy, but think time has come. Has been an absolute loyal legend for us in there. RUUD out. I'm going to keep putting these in. Stephen Moore said RUUD in. He's been shafted by Rudkin. Again, I can't say who, why, and how, but I am told, Stephen, that RUUD was given the assurances when he signed that he'd have 50 million to spend in January. That is what I'm told. He was told 50 million to spend in January. And we all know he ended up with Koulibaly, who he doesn't rate and doesn't play. I'll put some more comments on that while I just get Clibo ready to come in. Give me the thumbs up. There he is. Clibo, how are you, mate?
Unfortunately, I can't hear you, Phil, so I'm going to have to log back out and try and log back in. I don't. My mic is on. I'll log back in.
He's logging back in. He understood my symbols, so we're all good there. Nathan says, who's the centre-back at Plymouth? We should sign him. I'm not sure of his name. I'm not sure. We should have signed Whittaker, their striker, if you ask me. Would have been worth a punt, but no, we didn't go for that. He was available in January, 8 million quid. He went to Sunderland, Nathan. That's Whittaker, who scored against us last year, scored a hatful for Plymouth. Would have been worth a punt in January. Could have kept us up. Just saying. But no, we sold Tom Cannon. Just one of, I mean, if we were to make a list of mistakes, there'd be quite a few, isn't there? Dean says definitely out. He's talking about RUUD. Richie says no to Russell Martin. I'm probably with you, Richie. I think no to Russell Martin, but I don't know. Maybe. I certainly would. I don't know. It's tricky in there. Liam Rosinia says, or Rosinia, I'm not saying that right, Nathan. Lots of people are saying that. Dorco, I agree. Players are unsackable. That's the trouble of modern day football, isn't it? Russell, no chance, says Simon. I'm sort of with you. Nick Ball says they think. Oh, well, let's get Nick's on there. They think no embargo or points deduction. Why not make bloody sure that is the case? Well, again, from what I'm hearing, they feel they have done everything to stick it within. Again, between me and you, that's probably cost us the January transfer window and things like that and mistakes. Let's try Clibo again. Here he is. Clibo.
Sorry about that. Technical faults.
That's all right. We all experience them. It's a Tuesday. It's not even a Monday, mate. I don't mind. We were celebrating a point. We're celebrating a goal. RUUD last week sounded like he was desperate and didn't want to be anything to do with the club. And now the club are like, well, let's see how we end the season. What's your take on Leicester, Clibo, at the moment?
I'm going to be honest with you. It's the first game I've not watched for months. And I just knew this would happen. I just knew I wouldn't watch and we'd score or we'd get a point or something. I did watch the highlights. and that's what I said in the comments. It's going to annoy me if we start playing all of a sudden. What's annoyed me is really we're going back to a system that the current players that we've got are a lot more comfortable. They did it. They kind of put their foot down with Cooper, didn't they, a little bit, and wanted to do it that way. And it baffles me that it's took this long. Now, I'm not now a RUUD in, because I think there's too much damage. And I think taking that into next season, I think it would be damaging. However, what I will say is that I think he's the type of manager that would manage well at a higher level, because I think intellectually, I think coaching-wise, he probably has it, but he knows he hasn't got the players. Unfortunately, I think new breeds of managers are very stubborn, stuck in their way, and will only play one way. Now, I don't blame him totally for that, but you have to look at the club's hiring policy, because if you're hiring somebody for your company, you thoroughly question them, whether their ethos is the same as yours, etc. I think there's been some sort of breakdown of communication there. So, although I'm not happy with RUUD, I'm absolutely furious with the way that business has been done at Leicester. And like you say, 3 years ago we were playing PSV. 9 years ago we won the title. I mean, nobody wants to see Leicester end up like Blackburn. We all celebrated there. I remember, King Kenny, and I was a big fan of him growing up, and I love the fact that an underdog had won that. And I think we captured a lot of people's imaginations ourselves when we won it. And all of that seems to just have gone now. And it's left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth this season. And regarding which is the worst, I think this is going to hurt me more than the League One, if I'm honest. Yeah. And I know some people will think that's crazy because we're only in the second tier. But I was always confident that we would come back in that scenario. There was a comment earlier, which I kind of agreed with, that said we need 2 years in the Championship. And I agree with that comment. But I kind of replied to that saying, with the way money is in the football now, you end up, I mean, if you look at it, in reality, we were down for one season, 10 years behind now.
Yeah.
Than what we were. So 2 years in the Championship will kill us.
Clibo, we've got loads of comments coming in. I'm going to put this one on screen. Yep. It's a bit of a curveball, a bit of a hospital ball to you. I'm going to put this out to everybody. It's Andy Meadows' question. I think it's worth a quick debate on it. It's one I've had a debate with people on. Andy asked here, Clibo, if you're watching this live, do put in the comments what you think. But Andy says, I'm wondering how many points we would have had if we stuck with Steve Cooper. Hindsight is a great thing, Clibo. As you know, by watching my videos at the time, I thought Stephen Cooper had been done a bit of a dirty too quick, but we did it. But it wasn't glorious. The players didn't like it, but he was keeping us in games. There was fight back. There was scrappy points. There wasn't a very rare win. I felt at the time, if we just carried on like that, we might just stay up. And I kind of look back on it myself and go, I think we'd have been in a better position than we are now if we'd have stuck with Steve Cooper. Clibo, I haven't got a clue what your view is of Steve Cooper. And what would be
I think it's a little bit more complex than that. And the reason I say that is because the players revolted.
Yes,
and that's the killer. So you can look at his abilities as a manager, and you can surmise. But at the end of the day, once the players, and I would say a large majority of the people at the King Power were against him, so you're never going to.
70% of fans were against Steve Cooper. Either that, Clibo, or a noisy amount of fans were Steve Cooper out.
Well, I must admit, I would say now, I still don't think he would have kept us up, even if the players were on board. And I say that because consistency makes Premier League players, and we just don't have consistent enough players. I think maybe they've had a few more points, a few more draws here and there, but I don't think he would have been able to keep us up. So again, that's down to the board. I think it was crazy hiring him in the first place because it was such, it was such a 180 in terms of the football style that we've been used to playing and that brought us success. And it was always going to be. I mean, I watched the pre-season games and I was horrified. I thought this is possibly the worst Leicester team that I'd seen. I love watching the pre-season stuff because it's almost as exciting to me watching the first pre-season games as the first game of the season. I like it. Yeah. You get to see different formations, what players, where they're going to fit in, and all the rest of it. And what I saw in pre-season was outrageous. I don't know whether you watched any of them, Phil, but terrible, just dreadful, forgettable. And I think Wright was on the wall there.
I wonder if Nathan sums this up for you. Let's just find his comment here. I'm just finding it. Bear with me. He said about, Nathan says here, Clibo, and I think this is probably right. This is what you're saying. The players sadly thought they were too good to play under Cooper.
I think they think they're too good to play under RUUD van Nistelrooy.
I would agree with you on that as well.
And to me, I mean, I'm a lot older than well. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people on here that are a lot younger than me, and and they are used to seeing. I have seen the crap, but those players that were crap were being paid. I mean, I started going down when Lineker was striker with Youngie. Yeah. Those players were probably on 250 quid a week and worked their asses off for that. And, in a few years later, you had the crappy championship sides or Division 1 at the time. But at least they tried. These are on 75 to 100 grand a week. And I can see that their heads have gone, they're not trying. And yes, we can all say, well, once you're at that level, you're comfortable. That's the problem. They know 2 years in the Premier League, they're millionaires and they're never going to need to work again if they're injured. Yes, players like Youngie would kick lumps out of you for 250 quid a week. And I think that's the difference. It's difficult to love football the way I used to love it.
No, I agree with you. Now, Jack says this, and I'm going to ask you this question, Clivo. Jack says he fully agrees this group of players need a humbling from a Sean Dyche figure. Clivo, is this RUUD isn't the first manager, and Cooper isn't the first manager who's been hounded out. I felt like Brendan was kind of hounded out a bit by the players. I certainly think Puel was. Claudio definitely was hounded out by the players. I think is just to sort of add on to that he's saying. Do you think there's a common denominator, a ringleader still in the club who is doing this?
It's quite possible, and I wouldn't want to make assumptions, but I think me and you both know that there are players at the club that have probably been a bit too long, and although they've done fantastic things for the club, have got a little bit too comfortable and have a little bit too much influence. So if you brought a Dyche in, for instance, I think you'd have to clear the decks so that he was able to work with players that he can. I mean, I'm not saying you should be scared of your boss, but you have to have, like growing up with your dad, you have to have that healthy fear. I don't think any of those players would fear Sean Dyche. And because the power of the player is higher than the manager. We've seen it this season. So I don't think that would make that much difference.
I've heard some like old school type of managers maybe from 10 years ago, and say, why are you not interested in jobs nowadays? And they genuinely have come out and said things like, I'm here to manage football and coach football. I understand that. I can't understand, and I can't literally manage 20 21-year-olds who are multimillionaires. It's just they're different to what I know, and I haven't got the tools to try and motivate and manage and control. I'm not going to call them spoilt multimillionaire brats, but it's that kind of like you said, Yannick Vestergaard, when he signed a 3-year contract for 75 grand a week, I can't do the maths in my head that quick, Clibo, but 75 times 50 weeks is 3.5–4 million quid times 3. He's just won the lottery.
Of course he is. I mean,
12 million quid lottery.
I liked a few years ago. You'll remember that the rugby league, the rugby union league, they wage capped. Now, you don't see rugby players behaving like petulant children, do you? Now, although that means they've probably got to work when they finish, there's a level of appreciation of your art, not a level of appreciation of your bank account. And although that stopped, if you went abroad, it stopped you playing for your country, didn't it?
Yeah.
Whether that's right or wrong, and it maybe even weakened our league a little bit. But the behaviour, the respect on the pitch, the way they conduct themselves off the pitch, it's not about money, it's about the sport.
Yeah.
I've got a 26-year-old nephew who's been a season ticket holder for like 20 odd years, and he often asks me, what was it like, and I find there's like a generation gap, and I tell him, and he's actually he's starting to think a little bit like I do, to be honest with you, and he's starting to fall out of love. I mean, he was a staunch Leicester, but he's not even bothering watching the games now. He's not going down. He's got a season ticket. He just can't buy into it. And I think that's very, very sad, because at the end of the day, it is still a business, and you have to get the next gen. Now, what we're seeing in the street again, and what we all start to see again in the street, is more Liverpool shirts, more Man U shirts.
Yeah, it's already happening.
And I find that really sad. Because we had a generation. All of a sudden, we won the Prem, we won the FA Cup, the Charity Shield, or whatever it's called now, the Community Shield, and you start to see kids around the estates wearing Leicester shirts, and then and abroad, and that's gonna, it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost in merchandise.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've put a question up here. I don't think anybody's actually answered it. I know the guy Paul. I know people who I know at the football have told me that a few, at most, have renewed, but they're definitely. I'm getting this is the first season in maybe that I can really remember, maybe 25 years. Even when we went down to League One, when we got relegated to League One, Clibo, I remember people saying, like, "You're renewing your season ticket and all that." It was like, "Of course I am. I'm backing the lads."
Yeah,
It was almost a badge of honour. I'm not. We fought that year when we got relegated. We were crap, but we fought until the last game and the last kick and the last minute at Stoke. We fought. I think fans were like, "Yeah, get me back out there. I'm buying the season ticket. We're going to do League One and we're going to do it." I think this year I do feel this, like, and again, I'm really interested to hear your views, Clibo, and people watching this, because I do know I'm hearing of people definitely that I know saying, "I'm done with it for now and I'm not renewing."
Yeah, I've heard quite a few people. I've got a lot of mates that are Leicester fans. I've got quite a few friends that are female that go down, and they're the ones that have surprised me. Have said, "Nah, can't do it anymore." They really love the crack of going down. Some of the lads, I just thought, they were saying it sort of halfway through the season. I just thought, yeah, you're just being a bloke, you've got a bit of the ump, but no, it's not the case. And I do fear next season that there will be empty seats at the ground. But I mean, in an ideal situation, we get rid of players like Vestergaard and, for me, Cody, Samare, and Didi. Get rid of some of the big wages, bring some of the youth in, but keep a good core of what brought us up last season. And I firmly believe that without a points deduction, it's minimum top 6. It has to be. I mean, look at if you take the two. Well, let's say we don't have Vardy and we don't have Daka. You bring a striker in. We'll probably only play one striker up top. But if you had like El Kanous, Mavadidi, and the other winger, I forgot his name. Yeah. I don't know why his name escaped me. That makes me look bad.
I've not seen him for a long time.
But can you imagine that? Just because for me, you just have a core team that can sort of play cohesive football in the Championship. But if you have 3 special players like that at that level, you win the league.
Yeah,
you win the league.
No, I listen. This is what I think about: do we stick with RUUD or not? I think because only 3 players out of contract, and that's Ward, Iverson, and Jamie Vardy. So effectively, unless somebody comes in and buys players off us for some money, which will go back into we'll probably be wanting some players to be bought. We're not going to give anybody away, but
no,
buys and some of these, if we can sell them, and with like Stephen says here, Plata was back on training in the grass. I think we should have, like we went down last time, we should have a team that is at least top 6 and is right up there challenging whoever's in charge.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody that's not your typical Paddy Power top 10 list, because it's always the same names, particularly when Leicester are, touting managers. It's always the same list. And I need to be inspired now. I need, because my enthusiasm for watching the football at the moment is nasty. And I'd like to think that we'll have a summer off, no football. Then come the first day next season, I'll be like back up for it again. But it's going to take a decent manager who can progress young players, exciting, talents. But it's also going to need, in pre-season, for me, in my opinion, a really big statement from the club. And I don't mean like a big buying somebody big. I mean like a verbal statement. We're sorry that it went like this. This is what we're going to do. This is the action plan. The objectives for this season are this and nothing less. I think it's going to take something like that to convince a lot of the people we've just been talking about to stay.
I agree. I think the club needs to talk with fans and not need to talk out and say, right. Because I've said this the other day, when Richie came in, took over back in 2011 or 12, and it got about 2013, and he said, I want Leicester City will be a top 5 Premier League side. We laughed.
Yeah.
But we went, okay, that's what this guy's saying. So when we started going on that journey, we were like Top says he wants us to be in the top 5. At the moment, there is literally no vision between any of the fans and the club. We've got no idea what's going on. Don't know where players like Edouard is. Don't know where Harry Winks is. Don't know why we buy Koulibaly and then he doesn't get picked. Luke Thomas, nobody wanted him to do anything, and all of a sudden he's back playing. Same with Casey McAteer. We could have sold him. We didn't sell him. We don't play him. And then all of a sudden he comes. There's just nothing between that we understand what's going on. It's just head scratching. But Clibo, just before I let you go, do remember 2 years ago when we got relegated, there was an internal investigation, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing came from that. So expect another internal investigation.
If you're marking your own homework, you don't get nothing happens.
I'm going to rate this show myself. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. It's the best Fan Zone show ever. It's been amazing, Clivo. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
See you. Cheers, Clivo. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, another 10 out of 10 show. Bill rated it 10. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. I'm giving us a flat out 10 out of 10. I'm marking my own homework. If John Woodkin wants to do his own internal investigation into himself again, he'll probably be there going, yeah, go on then, another 10. Anyway, listen, Mark says EFL licking their lips at a massive point deduction when you're back in the Championship. I am hearing not, Mark, because I'm hearing we have just about stuck within all the right things, whether it's we stuck within the letter of the law. Now, whether the law was wrong, I hear we're inside it. So anyway, that's it. Craig says 10 out of 10. Thanks, Craig. I knew it. I gave it as 10. Thanks, Craig, for confirming that I'm right. But you are right. I'm right. It's 10 out of 10. Same for John Rudkin. Listen, the best news of all, like we said, Richie Collins, thank you. Great to have Richie Collins back. He's been so poorly. We'll end up on that. Great to have you back, Richie. Are you going to make it down to the King Power on Saturday, Richie? On Sunday, even against Liverpool? Or are you still taking it easy? And I think you should be taking it easy, because if you don't know, Richie was really, 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 and I mean really poorly. So, well, let's do that again. Welcome back to Richie Collins. Great to have you back. That's the best bit of news this week. Anyway, it's Liverpool on Sunday. There's a show on Thursday, 7:30 with Simon and Jono. It's Easter Sunday. There'll be Easter eggs. Maybe we'll be relegated before we even get to the King Power. It could be. I don't know. Peter's going for a 1-1. Callum, I'm just taking the 10-10. I'm giving myself the biggest 10 out of 10. If you think this show, it doesn't matter if you think this was a 10 out of 10, but it was. Callum's right. I've said it was. Give us a like, give us a share. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to. That's always nice. And let us know. So we'll see you then. Thursday, 9:30. 7:30. There's a tactics show with Sam and Reedy. And, of course, the famous Foxes Aftermath show on Sunday. I don't know if it's at 10 a.m. now or 9:30. I need to check with Jamie because it's summertime and the pub is open. The Foxes Arms in Al-Qudi is back open. So don't forget, this is your very, very last chance to enter. I think we need to pull a winner out. I'll make sure it's done tomorrow. What squad number was Anthony Knockaert? He played for Leicester City. You all know who he is. Let me know what squad number he was. You can have a go in the comments now. And if you have a go on the post, I promise you we will pull that out the hat tomorrow. And we'll let you know who's won a season's worth of Pucker Pies, and we'll do another competition start it tomorrow. Thanks to all the guys at Pucker for all the pies. Well done for James Hill, who won the last lot. Well done to whoever I'm going to pick out tomorrow. I'll do it live. We'll do a quickie at some point in the day, and we'll get it out there. So your last chance to put what shirt number was Anthony Knockaert. Put it in the comments, and you could be in to win. So listen, everybody, thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Sorry it wasn't Monday. I quite liked it on a Tuesday. We could do it on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. I don't know. We've had 10 years on a Monday. I think it's back to Monday next week. But we might be relegated back to Championship football. I can't believe it. Anyway, listen, guys. Nice to see you. See you soon.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, RUUD, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Foxes Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.